Hello. You are infinitely precious and unconditionally loved for the gift you already are. And I am delighted to be with you today to just share some thoughts. I don't know about the rest of you. Many of you have little or no connection to the University of Virginia. And the fact that I'm getting ready to talk about some things related to it may or may not draw you in. But ever since I learned on Monday morning of what transpired on the grounds at UVA on Sunday night, I have felt a deep sense of disorientation. Now, I tried to get in touch with what that was all about, where that was coming from within me as a part of my spiritual practice. So Monday, I spent the day feeling disoriented by the shooting that happened. And the three young men, Devin, Deshaun, and Lavelle, who lost their lives in a shooting on a bus. I tried to connect with why it was disorienting to me. What about it was disorienting? Why did I feel diminished in some way? Something impacting me. I didn't know any of these three young men, or the person who did it, or the ones who were injured and in the hospital. And now for the three young men who are dead, it's likely I will never in this life, in this form, know them. And chances are fairly good. A lot of people graduate from the University of Virginia, and I don't even meet a tenth of them probably. So there's a good chance I would never have met them, but now that potential is taken away. And I began to think about the implications of how each one of those infinitely precious young men could have or might have impacted the world. We'll never know now. We will not know because that possible impact was cut short all at once, late in the evening on Sunday night. And I also thought of the impact for my faith, and I think that this is what disorients me. And I have felt this disorientation, this diminishment, a couple of times in my life when people I knew or were connected to lost their lives. And that is when Jesus says the second greatest commandment is to love our neighbors as ourselves. I have come to believe it has nothing to do with loving them as much as I love myself. But the recognition that we are all connected, that we are all drawn together, that we share a common humanity, and that diminishing or demeaning anyone, doing violence to anyone for any reason whatsoever, whether we do it emotionally or mentally or physically or spiritually, when we do violence to another, it not only demeans them, but it demeans us all. When anyone suffers, we all suffer, because what loving my neighbor as myself is a recognition that the connection that holds us together, the spirit, the energetic presence that makes us all human beings, is diminished when we lose 1, 2, 3 of us or more. And it happens every single day. But we become anesthetized and miss it. Miss the sense that our humanity is diminished that much when someone dies by violence in any form. In any form, when folks are taken from us because of what they did, or because of their ethnicity, or because of their gender identity, or because of their sexual orientation, or because of their ethnicity, or because of their religion or nationality. We could make an ever ongoing list. But we are diminished when we do violence to the other. And not just the one who does the violence, but all of us. We see it on the forefront of our political debates these days. How to be aligned with either party is to think of the other as an enemy or as evil in some way. All of that diminishes all of us. All of us are diminished. It took me until today, until realized that grieving and that mourning for 3 young men I did not know is one that touches all of us when a line within us is crossed. And that's why we build up all these walls and we hide behind them, because when someone we know loses a child, or a husband, or a wife, or a father, or you name it, we don't know what to say. And we know that there is pain and sadness, but rather than open ourselves to help carry that, we say, well, it's just a part of life. We justify it, or we find other ways to talk about it. The truth is, we are in this together, all of us. My sense of disorientation and diminishment because 3 young men died on the grounds of UVA was expressed when they did a memorial event on the grounds. And I've seen pictures of thousands gathered with their lights in the night, holding up and remembering 3 young men that probably most of them didn't know except by their football jersey numbers, and perhaps some of whom knew them personally. But certainly their parents and their friends and their families are grieving. So is the family of the young man who actually perpetrated this act of violence, at least allegedly, the suspect. There is a great loss to us all when we diminish, demean, or take away from the other, especially by violence. So just be mindful today of how important it is to be kind to your neighbor, how important it is to recognize that people around you are going through things you don't even know, but that you might make a difference because you're infinitely precious and unconditionally loved as the gift you already are, but so is that other person. So is that other person. So in my own disorientation and diminishment, and I'm only speaking for myself, I hope that you will find a place, a grounding spot to stand in the midst of the losses that you see in life, the violences done to other human beings, that you won't just become anesthetized and turn your eyes away, but that you will recognize that we are all diminished in moments of violence like that. We are all diminished and reduced. So, my dear, dear friends, people I know and don't, I encourage you to recognize in yourself and everyone you meet and everything around you, you are infinitely precious and unconditionally loved for the gift you already are.